Lilacs, the beginning and end of time. Entropy, order and disorder. The circle of life, the greatest faith and justice. Chapter 1. One day, I heard a song called Lilacs sung by singers IU and Imogen together on a program called Famous Singers. Carried pollen tingling my eyes, itchy, I'll bear my tears, it's the moment I'll keep in my secret oracle box and rewind it forever. Take a good care of our last moment in the page. Could this last goodbye be any more perfect? Love me only till this spring, oh lilac, the day under the petals canopy. Goodbye, this ending matches right, it's like the falling petals are ivory-colored spring climax. How glorious it is. This is part of the song's lyrics. It expresses IU's feelings as she goes through her 20s and welcomes her 30s with a cheerful rhythm. It seems to express her desire to make the leap from her youthful and fresh years to a mature woman. She sings about the regret of not being able to go back to those days of warmth and joy like a spring day, and the joy of new encounters. Chapter 2. After listening to this song, I felt that something was pulling at me. After listening to it dozens of times, I realized that every moment of time is a new meeting and parting. Time is not something that flows from the past, but rather something that begins and ends in the moment. Time doesn't go in one direction like an arrow, but rather it begins and ends in the moment. In the book of the Revelation, it says, "And he who was seated on the throne said, Behold, I am making all things new." Also he said, "Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true." And he said to me, "It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty I will give from the spring of the water of life without payment. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end." Revelation 22:13. Our life comes from light. The sun burns itself to illuminate the solar system. All life on earth absorbs this light and renews itself by breathing. As it is written in the book of Apocalypse, "Behold, I am making all things new." Life shows us that with sunlight, air, and water, we can renew ourselves in an endless cycle. We renew ourselves by breathing, exhaling tainted air and inhaling clear water and air. As light and darkness, day and night, alternate, entropy decreases and increases cyclically. When the seasons change from summer to winter and from wet to dry, entropy decreases and increases cyclically, renewing all things. This is done naturally by the Earth's rotation and orbit around the Sun. Thus, we can see that time is not a straight line, but a cycle of beginnings and endings. Chapter 3. We live in outer space. We don't know how big it is. Life and matter can only exist in one place at any given moment. If matter can be in two different places in space at the same time, time doesn't need to exist. If light could be in two different places at the same time, time would not exist. But it can't, so it has speed, which gives it time and space. Life and matter change over time. This means that all things are not perfect. There is darkness and light. Darkness cannot exist if light is simultaneously present in two different places at every moment. The world is open and closed. There is good and evil, fullness and emptiness, happiness and unhappiness. Thus, life and matter are a combination of perfection and imperfection. No life is completely good and no life is completely evil. There is no completely happy life and no completely unhappy life. We can only be in one place at any given moment. There can be no light and darkness at the same time. But where there is light, darkness is hidden, and where there is darkness, light is hidden. When it is filled, it is emptied, and when it is emptied, it is filled. But it is not a repetition of the same thing. It is always a new filling and a new emptying. Jesus said that there is no eternal beginning, no eternal end, and the world moves in circles. Jesus Christ's idea of equality and eternity is seen. And behold, some are last who will be first, and some are first who will be last. Luke 13:30. Chapter 4. This world is a harmonious balance of light and darkness, from which new life emerges, and when that balance is not disturbed, we move on to a world full of life. Time does not exist for the infinite being. The beginning and the end are one, and light and darkness are one. We cannot know the power of an infinite being, but we can only conceive of God in light of our imperfections. And Jesus said to him, "Why do you call me good? No one is good except God alone." Time and space are the same for everyone. Everyone has a beginning and an end. The end is contained in the beginning. Time does not stop, it is neither fast nor slow. This is the reality of the world we live in. We perceive things through light, so we don't see things as they're now. They see the past as long as the light has passed, and they mistake it for the present. It can be said that people are always talking about the past as a predetermined fact. Light does not bend because it extends from moment to moment. It only appears to bend because there is an afterimage of what has passed. Therefore, the present becomes the past in an instant, but people only feel it is a reality with an afterimage. Only the mind can see the present. As the Lord says, we must always be alert. Moments of unhappiness or happiness pass away with time. There is no complete unhappiness or happiness in the world. Therefore, the present is an unknown world, a new world. Therefore, nothing is finalized. One has to make a choice when the time comes. It's not about repeating the past, it's about adapting to the present in a new way. Strictly speaking, the present does not come by changing from the past, but it is a leap from the old world to the new world, the present. Chapter 5 We can characterize everything that happens as a probability. This means that the event is volatile and there are many different choices that can be made. We have to make the best choice in every moment, but we don't have that ability. The best choices come from diversity. It has to be a completely open world, completely free and unrestricted. And when a choice is made, other variability hides, not disappears. You might think that the law of least action is useful for making the best choice, but we don't have the ability to predict. Alternatively, the law of least action may be an artifact of our misinterpretation of natural phenomena. One might ask why nature doesn't behave in a simple and obviously ordered way, like a computer. In natural ecosystems, there is fierce competition for survival, natural enemies, and food chains. However, this phenomenon can be used to remove unnecessary, wasteful, or incorrect parts of the predator, making the prey healthier and allowing more life to flourish. While the absence of natural enemies may seem like it would allow the prey to thrive, it would actually make them lethargic and more susceptible to disease. Competition and natural enemies are therefore the best options for minimizing sacrifice and ensuring that all species have the best chance of survival. The fiercest competition for survival is between herbivores and carnivores. This may seem brutal, with the stronger preying on the weaker. However, it has a net function of keeping herbivores from over-consuming plants and allowing animals to reproduce healthily. Even though it's only a small part of the ecosystem, green plants absorb light from the sun and use it for energy, carbon dioxide from the air and water from the soil to produce the oxygen and nutrients that animals need to breathe. Plants make oxygen for animals to breathe and absorb the carbon dioxide that animals give off when they breathe. When animals die, they are naturally decomposed by microorganisms to provide nutrients for plants. This is the bulk of the ecosystem's movement. Truly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. John 12:24. Chapter 6 Without humans, ecosystems complement each other and form a cycle. As mentioned earlier, the increase and decrease of entropy is naturally cycled by the motion of the solar system, which is the sum of the motions of the sun, earth, and moon. When entropy is cycled, time is also naturally cycled. This is how life and the solar system are newly organized. It is not a recreation of the past. Both human-made and natural orders are finite. They are temporary. Over time, the order breaks down and reaches a state of chaos. When this is far enough along, a new order begins to form. This is nature reorganizing itself, removing the unnecessary and wrong parts, the diseased parts, to reveal a new order that is healthy and vibrant. This shows the resilience of the ecosystem to heal and become healthy again. Nature cycles between order and disorder, moving toward a more vibrant order. We can see that nature's self-organization works because there is disorder within order and order within disorder. After all, time is not continuous, but a cycle of continuity and interruption. The present is a leap from the existing world to a new world, and a new universe is formed by the cyclical increase and decrease of entropy. It is through this cycle that life emerges. It is the most powerful force in the world and the ultimate force in the universe. This shows that there is a flexibility inherent in nature that we cannot imagine. Each living thing dies individually, but new life constantly fills the void left by death, so that there is always a state of fullness. Through this cycle, the ecosystem overcomes material weakness and the disorder caused by the passage of time, and is reborn as a newly transformed ecosystem. Thus, life is part of a fractal structure, and humans are included in it. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit he takes away, and every branch that does bear fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Already you are clean because of the word that I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself, unless it abides in the vine, neither can you, unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit, for apart from me you can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is thrown away like a branch and withers, and the branches are gathered, thrown into the fire, and burned. John 15. While the connection between life as a fractal structure and Jesus' vine parable may feel out of place, it is reminiscent of the theory of natural selection. Chapter 7. Humans are the top predator in the ecosystem. It has no natural enemies. The natural enemy is itself. Humanity's enemy is itself. This is why wars and terrorism are endless. Advances in scientific knowledge and economic development are destroying natural ecosystems beyond repair. The catastrophe of climate change has reached a level that threatens the survival of humanity. With the enormous advancement of knowledge and technology, the convenience of life has become unparalleled. Many people seem to flaunt this. Although the development of science and technology has increased the convenience of life, it has not solved the fundamental problem of life. People cannot become omnipotent. However, people seem to confuse convenience with omnipotence. This is like denying oneself. At the expense of scientific and economic development, ecosystems have been greatly destroyed. Changes in the climate have led to one catastrophe after another. Rising temperatures, severe cold and snowfall, storms and floods, droughts and famines, and earthquakes. People are barely aware of the side effects of their pursuit of convenience. I fear then Jesus' words will come true. For the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction, and those who enter by it are many. I think it will be difficult to stop climate change without a fundamental change in lifestyle. Chapter 8. In the words of Jesus Christ, whoever abides in me and I in him. In our social life, we encounter many things. There are good things, but there are also bad things. If you reflect, try to forgive and reconcile other people's mistakes and faults, and let go of anger, hatred, and hatred that arise from disagreements with others, the words of Jesus will come into your life. A new world opens up to you. A clouded soul is transformed into a clear soul. When we think about emptying the mind and faith is similar to the definition of social values, and there are some people who speak of faith or justice and then confront, condemn, suppress, and demonize the other person, so that their anger, hatred, and hatred are justified. Don't be fooled by this. It is not the same as the faith and justice that people have, so it is the faith and justice with reflection and penance that can be the true faith and justice. And Jesus Christ said that we are to be little people. We have to be small in heart. We should try to make our hearts small, like the smallest seed in the world, like a mustard seed. We must have such small faith and justice that we can help everyone else become faithful and just. When that happens, faith becomes the greatest faith in the world and justice the greatest justice. At the Last Supper, Jesus boiled his knees and washed his disciples' feet. He humbled himself for the world. We try to imitate this, but when we encounter worldly affairs, we often forget Jesus' words and become angry, hateful, blaming, lying, and even cursing others. Then I regret, blame myself, and try to do less of that. Jesus loves and forgives me for this. And he tells us to show a little love to our neighbors. Even if you have a bad life, showing a little love to the people you know in the world is faith in yourself, justice, and salvation. The following is something that was in the news a few years ago, when there was a huge shortage of masks. It was so moving that I wrote it down. There was a handwritten letter from a disabled person. Hello, I am a level 3 disabled person who works at, right here in front of you. I have a lot of masks from my company and would like to share them with you. I would be grateful if you could accept them. I thought donations were only for rich people, but after watching the news, I feel like I can help. I want to help, so I have the courage to give. I think it's great that you're the first one to come when there's danger. I'm proud of you. I received a lot of masks from my company, so I'm going to share some. I'm sorry it's so small. The person left 11 masks, some candy, and a handwritten note. Jesus says that this little love and sharing is faith in life and salvation. Jesus Christ is the way, the life, and the light. These words come when we are small and our hearts are empty. The words of Jesus Christ are words of life. He gave himself for life. He draws people to life. His word breaks through time and space and becomes the word of life in me.